Hey, this is Lois, and I am trying to recreate an original painting that I purchased from Temu. This painting is beautiful. It's a little town that has lots of colors, and it's whimsical, and it's dark, and it's bright. It's really beautiful. I wish I knew who painted this original painting, because when I got it from Temu, there was no reference to any artist on this painting, and it's beautiful. I would love to give a shout out recognition to the original artist. It could be an AI generated picture. It kind of looks like it is, but in any case, if somebody actually created this picture, it's beautiful. So the reason that I chose this particular painting was it wasn't my choice. It was my daughter's choice. She was about to leave for Navy boot camp, and she looked through the couple of paintings that had come through Temu, and she asked me if I would paint this particular painting for her while she was gone. And I was like, absolutely, I'll paint it for you. So the day after we said bye-bye and she jumped on her bus and went to Illinois, I started this painting, and then I stopped and I started and I stopped. It's very, very difficult to paint through tears, but I was just missing her, and it got better. I continued to paint, but I did not realize that the recording was not actually recording. I would look up, I thought it was recording, but I did the entire background sky and I didn't record it. So I apologize for that. But what I actually did was I had no intention of recreating this original. I was just going to do the paint by number the way it was supposed to be done. And so that's how I started with the background sky. Is I just was using the colors that it said to use in all the cells, but I did blend them, and I wanted to blend the background because I just knew it would look better instead of, each cell being such a distinct line between everything. But the houses, I figured that would be fine because there's no, I didn't think you needed to blend houses. So, as much as I was wrong for that. So I did the background, and then I started doing the little pink and red house in the middle of the painting, and I was so disappointed. After I was finished with it, I was so disappointed. There was just no detail to the house. It was like a coloring book page. I was very disappointed. So I decided, okay, I'm just going to repaint this little house and maybe do the entire painting like the original. I mean, I would do my very best. I didn't know how well I would do. But that's how it started, is because I wanted to give a painting to my daughter that I was actually really proud of and that I thought she would really love, because she picked the painting from the small picture that comes as a little reference picture with the paint by numbers. And when this is all said and done, it would not look the same at all. And I wanted it to look the same. So throughout the entire time that I was painting this paint by number to recreate the original, I had my phone next to me. I had done a screenshot, and I was zooming in to every specific part of the image so that I could get it as closely matching the original as possible. Now, while I was doing this, all the yellows and the reds, you could see the paint by number numbers underneath. So I was using my trusty whiteout, which works really well, although kind of if you look at it at an angle after you're all done painting, there's little bumps, but that's okay. I would rather have little bumps than see the numbers underneath it. Right about here is when I realized I didn't quite have the right colors for this painting, that the paint by number didn't come with the colors that would make this painting look original. So I ended up going through all of the extra paint pots that I have from a whole bunch of different paint by numbers. And I even created this pink right here. It was the only pink that I really needed. That was the shade, was right here on the shingles of the house. But it turned out good. I'm really happy with the way some of this, I'm actually happy with the entire painting. The amount of shading and blending that are in this picture is to be expected. Where the shadows are, under the eaves, between the houses, there was a lot of shading. In the doorways, in the windows, there was a lot of blending. But it was fairly easy. What was the most surprising thing about this entire project, this entire picture, was there was a lot of items in the picture that were only half created, like half of a swirl. The top half was done, and I would have to create the bottom half, or the bottom half was done, and I would have to create the top half. Or there were things in the paint by number that could have been a little bit more detailed, but they weren't. There was also a lot of detail in the sky and in the swirls that are in the sky and in the round circles, the swirls that were in the trees. There was a lot of detail, but there was hardly any detail in the doorways and in the windows. It just seemed like the person that transformed the original picture into a paint by number really did a great job, matching numbers, clicking, making cells for the sky, and then just kind of petered out around the buildings and the flowers, because it was like two different paintings from the top of the painting compared to the bottom of the painting. And the fronts of the buildings, on the original painting, the fronts of the buildings had so much detail with swirls and different shading. Just like this green house that I'm doing right here. There was like one or two swirls on the front of the house, and the entire thing was like one solid color of green. It would have been flat. There would have been no two dimensions to it. It wouldn't have looked good at all. I literally tried to put in as much detail as I possibly could. Sometimes it felt like I was painting and repainting the same exact windowsill or roof or the front of the house over and over and over again, because I kept thinking, I can make this look better. And I'm not an artist that has been painting their whole life. Well, okay, no, I've been painting my whole life, but after I had babies, I haven't painted anything in 15 years, maybe even 20 years. So when I started doing paint by number again, it's not like I'm this big experienced artist, but I really did try to make this the best that I could. I think I did pretty good. I actually really like it a lot. There were times that I felt completely blind, though. The paint that I used and the lighting that I had, well, I've changed it since, but the lighting that I had reflected so bad on this high gloss paint that I literally would have to raise a corner of the canvas up to see where I needed to paint because of the glare. If I could have put sunglasses on to paint this, I would have, because there were times where I literally felt blind, like I could not even see where I was supposed to be painting from the reflection. So anybody that's about to do paint by number, make sure you have the right kind of lighting. Don't have it too bright, because it just reflects right back up at you. I think I was about a week into the painting, right around here, and it ran through my mind more than once that this is going to take the rest of my life to finish. No, just kidding. I knew it wouldn't take the rest of my life, but it probably felt like it at the time. I can remember sitting and thinking, wow, I have spent 3 hours on this one little building and I haven't gotten it completely done. Do you see this doorway that I'm painting right here, where I painted it kind of a red and then a brown and then another layer of red over it with the shading? That is the prettiest brown I think I've ever seen. It's the kind of a color where you can camouflage it as red or you can camouflage it as brown. It could be either color, which I think is just the coolest thing ever. Once I started doing this black background around the tree and it's partly the sky, I thought I was in the home stretch. I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to transform the entire picture by just filling in the black, which black does actually make a picture pop. You know, if you fill it in and it takes on the characteristics of what, you know, you're outlining or what you're actually painting, makes a huge difference. It starts to transform the painting into the actual painting that you're doing. So when it comes to paint by numbers and using black, what you will not see and what most people will not tell you is that black is a very easy color to work with. It's thinner than most, colors, because black isn't a color, it's a shade, but with the pigments in the black paint, it's just smoother and easier to work with. But it also leaves a lot of paintbrush lines. So anytime you see somebody using black on a paint by number, what you will not know, they will not tell you, is that that's not the only coat they're going to be doing. Black is predominantly a color that you have to do 2 coats on. And that doesn't omit this picture either. After I did all the black, I didn't record the second coat of black, but yes, I had to do a second coat of black on every little bit of black that I did. It actually doesn't take as long as you would think because the black paint is thicker around edges of the black, it's thinner in the middle of a cell than on around the edge of the cell. So you really only have to fill in the middle of the cells to make it more of a solid color. But nobody's going to tell you. I just thought I'd let you know that every bit of black that you see is usually a double coat. So I really, really enjoyed doing the brick road. I was anticipating doing it throughout the entire picture because it just looked really fun. And when I started doing it, I realized none of the colors were the colors that were on the original picture. Nothing that they told me to use on this brick road would have looked good. I used colors from other paint by numbers. None of these colors were the colors that I used. And this house right here was kind of a thorn. I would do a little of it and then I would move on to something else like the flowers. And then I would go back to it and do a little bit more of it. I actually messed up in one place, and when we get to it, I'll show you where I messed up. But because it was such a center point, it was like the closest house. It was the house that I figured people were going to see first. I was a little bit nervous about messing it up, and I did not want to mess it up. So I did a little, and then I moved on. And then I went back and did a little more, and would get a little nervous, get tired, not want to, make any mistakes. And I would go on to something else or just put the whole painting down. There are some bricks right here that I'm painting. These do not look anything like the bricks that are on the original picture. I had to really work on those bricks to make them look like the original picture. With the shading and with the different colors and stuff. Those bricks were a thorn and they were difficult, but I wasn't about to give up because I was on the home stretch. But I did take a lot of breaks while doing this particular house, a lot of breaks. So right here is where I messed up on this little house. There's a little balcony by the door on the second floor. On the right side, I made like a upside down triangle. That's not supposed to be there, but I do fix it. I do coat after coat after coat with yellow. I tried to wash it off with water. Sometimes you can do that with a paintbrush. If you mess up and the paint is still fresh, you can take some fresh water with a clean paintbrush and kind of scrub it a little bit, and a lot of the paint will come off. I did try that. It didn't come off completely, but I did cover it with some yellow paint. And I think I succeeded. At the end of the painting, you really can't even tell that I messed up, which pat myself on the back for that one, but it was scary because I didn't know what I was going to do about it if I couldn't fix it. Down here at the bottom in this garden in front of the houses are all these flowers, and this is where a lot of the flowers, they were not complete flowers. They were not complete swirls. There was like a stick or a swoop or a little bit of a swirl, but there wasn't an ending to it. They were all incomplete. So I had to use my creative abilities and really zoom in on my screenshot to hopefully match what was going on in this garden. And what's funny is I thought that when I was finished with all these flowers, that there wasn't enough flowers, that it looked so much more full in the screenshot, in the original image, but I had matched and compared and did everything that was in the original image. And then when I started putting the black in there, it all filled in. I mean, yes, the black fills in, but it doesn't seem as spaced out once the black is in there. It looks more like a full garden compared to when it's white in the background and it looks like an empty garden. It was kind of neat. So do you see how it's starting to fill in? All this black just filled this entire garden in, but look at how much black there is. And yes, I did have to do 2 coats of all this black, which yeah, I didn't record it because, I'm not going to put you guys through that, but there was a lot of black. And you see this deep, rich blue that's on some of these flowers? That was not a color that came with this paint by number. So this was a color that I got out of a different paint by number, and it's like one of my favorite blues because it's like a real rich, deep blue. And I use this blue any chance I can get. I grab this blue, and if I have the opportunity to exchange a blue on a different paint by number and use this blue, I will. It will be a very sad day when I run out of this blue. I mean, I guess I could do a color match. I haven't thought about that, but I don't even know what paint by number this blue came out of. But it is just my favorite blue because it's so pretty and bright and vivid. I like it a lot. I think it makes a good flower. There is just so much to this painting that I can't really describe everything. I can't even remember most of painting it because it's kind of a blur. I was just mostly thinking about my daughter the entire time I was doing this picture, but this is the first paint by number that I've actually tried to recreate from start to finish from an original. I mean, I love doing paint by numbers. Most of the time I'll just like center on, I'm going to blend the entire thing, use all the colors that come with the paint by number. I only switch out sometimes if the color is obviously the wrong color. I have seen where it should be peach, but it's gray, and it goes against the grain, so I'll find a peach and I'll paint with the peach. But I've never tried to do a recreation of the original before this one. If this had trees and grass and people and things that are more realistic, I would not be trying to do it. Because this is more of a cartoony kind of a
painting, I thought that I would have a better chance of being able to recreate it because I don't know how to blend shades when it comes to, cheek color and make hair actually look like hair. I mean, I've tried, but it just ends up looking so comical and stupid. But I think that unless, you have a real built-in talent or you've gone through a lot of art school, hair is kind of a hard thing to do. Blending cheek colors and like real skin colors is difficult to do. So that's why I actually attempted this one, because it's more of a cartoon. It's not real. I don't know if an actual person actually created this picture or if it was AI generated, which either way, I think it's beautiful and the concept is really whimsical and fun. And I really enjoyed painting it and recreating it.
So right about here, I'm doing this other side of the brick road, and the paint by number has gotten so, the cells have gotten so small, and the pictures, or what it's trying to be a picture of, is so small that you can't even tell what it is supposed to be when it comes to the paint by number. So right about here, I start just forgetting about, the outlines of where things are supposed to be. I just am looking at the original picture and creating what I think is a flower, and I just match the color and create my own flower in where I think it's supposed to go, because it's just such a mashup of different color cells that it wouldn't have made any sense if I would have filled in all the cells. It would have just looked like blobs of color and not even the right color. There was no form, reason. It didn't look like flowers. It was like they were like all halfway kind of just forms in the background to, I don't know, fill in the space. But I was not about to let that happen. So I just started creating flowers the best of my ability from the picture. And I think it turned out pretty good. I think so. So I need to fill in a little bit more of the black in the background for these flowers. And yes, 2 coats of black, but it wasn't too bad. There were a lot of small flowers, but it wasn't bad. So I'm back to the house. Oh my gosh, I was so nervous for this house. But, it actually turned out okay. Once I got a grasp of it, I figured out, the shading and the swirls, that it wasn't too bad. These swirls in the sky were fun. You really couldn't mess them up. You just needed to use the right color. And once you had the right colors, you just blended them all the way in a swirl. It was pretty fun. I like the idea of being able to do parts of a painting, even though it's a paint by number that you really can't mess up at all. No one's going to point out it and say, oh, that swirl is wrong, which nobody would do that. I would hope nobody would do that, but it was fun. It turned out pretty good. So what do you think of the recreation from the original? My painting is on the right, and the painting that I screenshotted on my phone that I was zoomed into is on the left. I hope my daughter likes it. Let me know in the comments if you like it. I would love to do more recreations, but they take so long. I'll probably do another one, but I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to see more, subscribe, like, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.